Hello and welcome to another episode of Taylor Money Talk, where we connect history to today's current investment environment. And as a reminder, this is a general discussion about investments and history and is not intended to be investment advice. So far, I've recorded 6 podcasts exploring investment themes and their historical context. These themes continue to influence our investment decisions today and will help shape them in the future. Understanding them is important, but it is equally important to know how to respond as their relevance changes over time. When I entered the business in 1980, investing was much simpler. Investors typically focused on buying individual stocks and could research companies using something like the Standard & Poor's tear sheets, is what they were called, which were available at the library or by subscription. Kept in binders, these smaller than letter-sized sheets summarized key information about companies listed on the New York Stock Exchange and most other exchanges. For curious investors, the front and back of each sheet provided essential details needed to evaluate a company. I also remember seeing a Kellogg Company annual report from the 1970s that was only about 6 pages long. Compare that with today's annual reports, which often run hundreds of pages in small print. An investor could determine which industries were the most viable and then research the companies in those industries and make an investment selection. Today, we face a different paradigm. Statecraft has changed everything. And that's what I wanted to discuss today. At its core, statecraft is the art of conducting state affairs, the practical skill, strategy, and judgment that leaders or governments use to manage a country's interest at home and abroad. Think of it as the ultimate political toolkit. Not merely about having power, it is about applying that power wisely to achieve specific goals. Today, the term often refers to international relationships, where leaders balance instruments of national power to persuade other countries, influence outcomes, or prevent conflicts. These tools are commonly grouped together in 4 categories: diplomatic, informational, military, and economic. But statecraft is not only outward facing. A critical part of it is domestic, maintaining political stability, managing the economy, and sustaining public support within national borders. A leader practicing effective domestic statecraft knows how to pass difficult legislation, manage rival political factions, and build a cohesive national identity. Historically, statecraft is closely associated with thinkers such as Machiavelli, who argued that a leader must be both clever like a fox and strong like a lion to protect the state from chaos and foreign threats. In short, if politics is the game, statecraft is the master strategy used by those who govern. Domestic examples of statecraft. In the United States, domestic statecraft can be seen in the policies carried out by federal agencies, such as OSHA, the EPA, and Health and Human Services. These agencies shape daily life by setting rules and priorities that affect businesses, workers, consumers, and communities. One recent example occurred in Texas during a severe winter storm. When power systems failed, tens of thousands of residents were left without electricity. The event showed how public policy, energy priorities, infrastructure decisions, and emergency preparedness can directly affect people's lives. One example of statecraft affecting investors was the federal government's push towards electric vehicles. Automakers invested heavily in EV production, only to write off billions of dollars in losses when demand, economics, and policy direction shifted under a new administration. Globally, the move toward green energy offers another example. In many cases, poorly executed policies imposed significant costs on industries such as agricultural and manufacturing, while also disrupting supply chains. So, as investors, we have to be very aware of how the policies from our governments regarding statecraft affect us. We can no longer look at our investments from the Standard & Poor's tear sheets. We have to be aware of the macroeconomic trends as well as the microeconomic trends. Macroeconomic trends include wars, the collapse of political structures, the collapse of financial architecture, and global economic architecture. We can function in this environment as long as we are aware of our surroundings and we pay attention. And again, as a reminder, this is not intended to be investment advice. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one.